If you'd like to know more about the plants mentioned on this episode, visit our Instagram page at Plants, People, Places Podcast or our Facebook page and just search for Plants, People and Places Podcast. Welcome to Plants, People and Places, the podcast in which we speak with plants people and find out what special connection they have with their plants. In this episode, we speak with garden creator and TikTok sensation, Stephen Howard. Stephen, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Well, I should probably say, hey up me duck, I'm all right.
Sorry?
I should probably say, hey up me duck, you're all right.
Oh, yeah, see, I'm Southern. I don't get that.
Yeah, no, straight over your head.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Well, I am a garden creator. I've been a gardener. Well, I've been a gardener all my life, but I suppose professionally for about 12 or 13 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I started like many people doing lawns and hedges. I used to work in the car factory making dashboards, and when I was on night shifts, I used to get my lawnmower and my hedge trimmer during the day and go and do lawns and hedges for people, and then
Wow.
slowly fell in love with sort of, I guess, what you would maybe slightly snobbishly call proper horticulture, and eventually got a job in looking after a large garden, a 15-acre
Mm-hmm.
estate garden, and went from there really, and started working for myself just before the first lockdown, so 2019.
Yeah.
And yeah, never looked back since really. It's just life now, and I absolutely love it. I don't think I would be happy doing any other job. It's,
Yeah.
I look forward to it every morning.
How
It's
long were
great.
you in the car factory for then?
So I worked at Toyota for I think about 3 years.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think so the night shifts we started quite late. So I'd
Yeah.
sort of wake up around, 11:30, something like that.
Mm.
Get in the van and get my lawnmower and my hedge trimmer and go off and do gardens for people, just general maintenance.
Oh,
And
brilliant.
then eventually saw the job in the paper at Longford Hall and decided to, I didn't think I'd get it. I just thought, oh, I'll stick my hat in the ring,
Mm.
and got an interview, which I think was quite lucky to get an interview with very little experience at a place like that. But um, I think the enthusiasm shone through, and that's probably what got me the job. And yeah, I absolutely loved that job. It was
Oh,
it was
brilliant.
I really missed the garden. The job
Mm.
changed quite a bit towards the end, which was probably the thing that gave me that sort of push to go and start working for myself.
Yeah.
Um, it became like so many jobs in big houses. It became you're the gardener, but you're also the dog walker and the chauffeur and
Yeah.
the picture hanger and light bulb changer and tap fixer and all that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And it just became a little bit more of that than garden, and the garden was suffering because of it. So I kind of felt like I wanted to be more horticulturally rather than
Yeah.
handyman type
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
Um,
you get that often, don't you? I mean, I've even had it where I was a gardener who lived on site and yeah, dust turn into feed the horses every day and things like that, which
yeah,
yeah, it's a shame.
this is the
It's a
thing.
shame it's sometimes seen as you are the handyman then.
Yeah, we used to say we were the go for this and go for that.
Yeah.
And there was like we used to joke about, like weaponized incompetence. And like they used to send us shopping. So like we just deliberately come back with the wrong stuff sometimes in the hope that they wouldn't send us again.
Sabotage.
Like, oh what? Oh, you wanted cucumbers, not courgettes. Oh, I don't know the difference. I'm useless
Yeah.
at this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't do
Um,
vegetables.
yeah, no, unfortunately it was just up until recently I still pop back to see the people there because
Yeah.
you know they were very good to me, and gave me my first job in
Mm.
horticulture, so I'm very grateful to them.
Yeah. No,
Um, but
brilliant.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was it was just a timing thing, and eventually started working for myself, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Ah, see.
never looked back
Ah,
really.
brilliant. Mm. So, with your gardens, because I had a look on your Instagram, and it's mainly focused around wildlife and eco-friendly, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
yeah, how do you go about designing gardens like that?
Well, I think like primarily I like to create gardens that I would like to spend time in myself,
Hmm.
and gardens which always sort of have a nod to wildlife, and plants which are beneficial in hopefully more ways than one. So like
Yeah.
plants which are good for insects, but also produce seed for the birds and berries for birds and things like that. And having that sort of nice continuity of flowering throughout the spring and summer and into the autumn,
Hmm.
so that there's always boxes that are ticked, but also gardens that work for people, because it's possible. I always think it's possible to create gardens for wildlife
Yeah.
or create gardens with wildlife in mind.
Hmm.
And really, when you if you think of wildlife, they don't necessarily want gardens that have people in them. They want wild spaces. But then that's not really a garden. So it's finding that balance between having gardens which are usable and enjoyable for people, but also have those things that can have, benefit to wildlife and encourage wildlife. I find as well, try and do a little wildlife survey with every garden project that I start. Excuse me, that so that we're sort of catering for the wildlife which already calls the garden home, rather than just planting plants in the hope that, fieldfares might come into the garden. But if
Yeah.
you've already got a good robin population, then you can plant stuff which will encourage the robin's food and wrens and things like that. So if you work with the wildlife which already calls the garden home, you're creating a better environment and a better habitat for them.
Yeah, brilliant. And I mean, I normally ask the guests, like, what is your favorite plant? But maybe we can adjust a bit. Like, what is your favorite plant for wildlife then? Which one do you think everyone should be growing?
I would say crabapple. A crabapple tree, without question, is the best tree to put in your garden for wildlife. It does pretty much everything for, plant wise, as in it flowers. It looks great in the autumn. You can get ones with different colours leaves, and you can get ones that have great autumn colour as well. And then the berries throughout the winter, the birds eat them, but the birds eat them quite late, because
Yeah.
they tend to go for sort of the hawthorn and the rowans first, and then they go for the crab apples later. So a crabapple, without question, is the best plant for wildlife. But my favourite plant
Yeah.
is the blueberry.
All
Like
right.
for me, I love blueberry plants. I think because they tick every box, so they get great flowers. The flowers have probably just gone over.
Mm.
Then you get fruit which you can eat. They get great autumn colour, and you get good colourful stems in the winter. So that every season has got some form of interest from a blueberry. I just think they're great. I know they're a bit temperamental,
Yeah. I was just
water
about to
wise
say.
and acidity wise and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think the blueberry for me is a favourite plant, just because it ticks every box.
Yeah. Yeah. With blueberry, I always think of them growing here on chalk and seeing them all suffer.
Well,
So yeah. But yeah,
even
if you've got the right
mine are
spot.
in pots, even here,
Yeah.
just on the edge of the Peak District. But we're on the White Peak side, so we're very
Mhm.
limestoney
All
sort of
right.
soil. Whereas if you went to the other side of Derbyshire, with Buxton and then sort of Dark Peak, it's got
Mm.
because with very peaty soil, you'd probably be able to grow blueberries in the ground. But mine are all in big tubs.
All
Um,
right. Okay.
but yeah, they're not in the ground.
No, lovely thing. Yeah. And then looking at plants, I mean, sometimes you have plants you think, oh, I will always grow one of those because it reminds me of something, or I've bought it somewhere. Have you got anything like that at all?
Probably crocus. I think crocus for me. I think it's the first plant I ever remember knowing the name of, and they're always around. My birthday's in the middle of March, and they're always flowering around about my birthday.
Mm.
And I think it's probably about that sort of age when I started to remember things, that I was taught that these are crocus, and it's the one that I remember. So I always like crocus, have them in pots and things around their garden at home, and
Oh, no.
crocus in the lawn. It sort of reminds me of being a kid. Um, I think it's probably the first plant that I remember knowing the name of, and I
Yeah.
think it's just stuck with me forever, just to be one of my favourites. I think definitely, and snowdrops are great, but crocus, I think the nice purple crocus is definitely
Yeah. Oh, no,
definitely
I
one
love
for
them.
me.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it is also,
yeah. I think it's one of those. It's one of those. It's like snowdrops are like the start of it, but crocus is like we're definitely on the way now.
yeah.
It's there's no going back almost.
Yeah. Yeah. More nice days than
Yeah,
miserable
yeah,
rainy
yeah.
days.
Because obviously
Although,
when they're open, it's sunny, and
yeah.
they're definitely. up there.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. No, it's always quite nice to ask because, there's so many plants, of course, and it sort of reminds yourself as well about, oh, yeah, yeah, I do love those as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Yeah. Um, I follow you on TikTok, obviously, everyone should. And when I did my first recording of this podcast, I did ask, what is your plant ick? And I saw it on your podcast as well. So we will give you the official title of who came up with that question.
Oh, I don't know.
Have you got a plant ick?
Oh, I've got loads. This is the problem.
Oh,
I think that we're like so opinionated on plants because we know them so well and we work with them all the
yeah.
time and we see them everywhere and it's kind of what, so I've got so many, but I think that I heard on the previous podcast somebody saying Photinia. It's like, yeah, absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
and the flamingo salix, the flamingo willow.
Yeah,
Oh,
I actually banned that from my mind, but they are
like
horrible.
what just like I don't know, but the big one, the big one is begonias. I just
Really?
can't. They make me feel a little bit ill. Just the fleshiness of them and the texture of the leaves and the flowers are just there's something about it just makes me feel a bit poorly. I
Oh,
don't want to look at
I
them.
can't agree with
Right.
that one.
I just don't want to look at them. I used to I don't know the variety of it, but I used one of the big gardens I used to manage quite recently had like this sort of family heirloom begonia that had been in the family for years and used
And
to
you killed
lift it
it.
every winter and wrap it in newspaper and put it in the dark and then come May we'd have to go and get it out and let it go give it some sunlight to let it sprout and stuff. I just wanted to kill it.
Yeah.
I just hated it. I know what it is about. It's the fleshiness of the leaves and the texture of the petals. It just drives me mad. But I mean, there's so many. Honestly, I have such strong feelings about daffodils. I'm not a big fan of daffodils. I think the daffodil one is funny because everybody thinks that everybody loves daffodils. So when they hear somebody saying that, "No, I'm not that bothered about them. I can
Mm.
take them or leave them," people are always
Yeah.
like, "What?"
But,
But I think it's quite a funny one, really. There's some daffodils that I don't mind, like Thalia. I quite like the white
yeah.
ones, and some of the sort of more dainty ones I quite like. But the sort
Yeah.
of big trumpety ones and tete-a-tete as well. I'm just not a
Yeah, I
big
know what
fan.
you mean. Although I do quite like Tete-a-Tete. I think Tete-a-Tete has cyclaminias in it, hasn't it? Or a cross of that.
Yeah,
And I do tend to like the cyclaminias ones, but I
yeah.
do completely agree with those big, blousy, trumpety things. No, but I went a couple of years ago. I went to a really good daffodil seminar organized by the National Trust, actually,
Mm.
and some of the head gardeners of English Heritage were invited as well, and they had hundreds and hundreds of different ones. And I did order quite a few after that because there were so many nice ones. Also, a lot of them that I thought, no, I'm not growing those. But yeah, so maybe you should submerge yourself to one of those seminars
Maybe,
one
yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah. I'm keen to be changed. Change my mind. But yeah, no. I think they're just everywhere as well. They're so bright. I'm not a big fan of yellow. I don't think there's not very
Ah,
much yellow. Cowslips probably. I don't mind that sort of yellow primrosy cowslips, but
hmm
um, yeah,
They're
no, that
very
big brash yellow
vibrant.
I'm not a fan of.
All right. Oh, well, it's a nice few to add to our list for most hated
Yeah,
plants. So
yeah, yeah.
I think Virginia now already has, well, at least 3 votes. So that's good. Red
Yeah,
Robin.
just I don't know, Red Robin. It's one of those.
Um,
It's just like
yeah,
way
yeah,
too overused, and I see them
it
as
is.
when you
Yeah.
see them pleached as well. Like sometimes you see them pleached. I just think, what are you doing? It just looks horrendous. Like,
That with some daffodils underneath, that would be
yeah,
a
yeah,
perfect
yeah.
garden. I mean, if you said you've loved gardening all your life, really, but have you got any horticultural heroes at all, apart from, of course, the author of the Jungle Garden? But
Who's that? Never heard of that guy. Oh, it probably is a very common answer. But my dear old nan, unfortunately, she passed away last year,
Mm,
and she taught me everything I know about it.
really?
Really, she was
Oh,
she
wow.
was she was big into it, and um, yeah, she was the one that sort of she would give me lots of support when I changed career, and she was always very keen to know what I was up to and give my opinion on design stuff. More recently, and
Hmm.
yeah, her garden was fantastic, and she always used to get oh no, don't look at my garden. The professionals looking at
Yeah.
my garden and stuff like that. And it's like, I cut my teeth in this garden, and she used to let me prune her wisteria and her apple trees and stuff and taught me all that sort of thing. So,
Oh,
um,
brilliant.
yeah, definitely. I think without her and my mum as well, I have to say about my mum, she was, you know, very helpful, teaching me a lot of stuff. I remember when I got one job and somebody was asking me, this was when I was still working at Toyota, and somebody was asking me about, which plants are in here, and I couldn't remember the names of them properly at that point. I hadn't, sat down and learned everything. I was sending my mum photos of them saying, "What's this?" And she was like, "That's a peony." Right, okay, that's a peony. Write that down and then figure out how to learn that. So yeah, I think without my nan and my mum, teaching me the plant names and how to look after stuff, I don't think I'd be here where, career wise where I am today. So definitely those two.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's really good, actually. Yeah. And have you got any favorite gardens at all? Apart from your
There's
own,
one
of
that,
course.
oh, gosh, my own with the slide and the paddling pool in it at the moment. It's been
Oh,
taken over. Um, yeah, I think there's a couple that I go to quite a lot around here. Cork Abbey, the National Trust Garden's really nice. That's kind of, it's very ramshackle. It's very sort of higgledy-piggledy. The whole idea of Cork Abbey is that it's kind of, they call it the unstately stately home. So it's kind of almost in this constant state of decline, and it looks a bit neglected, but it's kind of the point. So I definitely go there quite a lot. Obviously, it being close by.
mm.
There's an arboretum nearby as well, which is in the same sort of area as that I really like going to, called the Bluebell Arboretum. The people who
Oh,
run
yeah.
it, there's not much they don't know about trees.
Mm.
That's really worth a visit, especially at blossom time and at autumn color time. I tend to go like second week of November every year
Nice.
just to have a look at it because it just looks fantastic. Some of the aces and some of the birches and things that they've got there are fantastic. So it always looks really good. I like taking when I'm designing gardens for people, I like taking the clients there so they can see the trees,
Hmm.
not just have a look at them, but have a look at them 10, 15, 20 years down the line so they can see what the investment's going to look like in the future. I like going there quite a lot. But
And I
I'm
think they've
really
got a.
bad. Like we used to go quite a lot for my birthday, visit gardens for my birthday.
Mm.
But that being in mid-March, there's not really much going on if you're not a big fan of daffodils. Not much going on mid-March.
The odd crocus.
Yeah, yeah. And to be honest, like summertime is it's just so busy with work that I don't really get time to visit gardens as much as I'd like to. Um, there's one coming up soon. There's a at Culland Hall in Derbyshire that it's like they do a plant fair, and it's the only time they open. And every year I missed it, and so this year I'm going to make sure I go to that one. That's a really nice garden. That's quite close to us. They have a plant fair there. I think it's on Father's Day this year, so I'm going to make sure I go to that.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. I think Bluebell Arboretum has got a really good nursery as well, haven't they?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
I know
yep.
someone who's been
And
there.
and a, and
Yeah.
a, and a very nice reduced to clear section where you
Oof.
can get some
Well.
weird and wonderful bargains. I've got a double flowered Prunus spinosa, the blackthorn.
Mm.
It's got lovely double flower. Absolutely no room for it in my garden, but there it is, planted in completely the wrong place until. But when the one that they've got there that flowers is just incredible. It's massive, way too big, like I say, way too big for my garden, but it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, so there's always really good bargains in the reduced to clear section as well. I think it was like £2.50 or something. So I wasn't
Wow.
going to turn it down.
Yeah. Well, let's meet up there then when we
Yeah, yeah,
definitely do
definitely.
meet. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, brilliant. It's also, of course, time for plant of the week. I always pick a plant of the week, and I'm not quite sure how you are on variegation. Oh,
Well, the odd one I don't mind. Some of my clients have been at Chelsea this week, and they sent me a picture of a variegated bamboo fern, and I'm not too sure about that.
variegated bamboo fir. I must
What
look
was
that
it?
up.
Variegated fern. Yeah, no, variegation is. I don't know. Sometimes I love it, and sometimes I hate it. I've got a real sort of Marmite type of
Oh,
relationship with it. Like Cornus alba elegantissima, the variegated cornus. I love it. Like use it all the time. Uh,
Really?
yeah, and
I hate it.
Pittosporum tenuifolium as well. Use that a lot. Like, absolutely love that variegation. Um, but yeah, not a massive fan of it, to be honest.
Oh, well, sorry, but my plant is a variegated plant. I will send you a picture. It is, of course, a Beaumeria. It is Beaumeria aoba, which was selected or introduced by Cedric Bassett of Pépinière Aoba in France, and it has got a beautiful marbled effect. And I picked Beaumeria because Beaumeria are actually really good for wildlife as well. Well, I say wildlife, specifically red admirals, the butterflies. So where I've got the collection. This time of year, you can see the red admirals starting to fly around, and there will soon
Yeah,
be some caterpillars as well. Yeah, as part of the nettle family, I thought that's a good one for wildlife.
good
We'll
idea.
throw that one in
Great,
for the
good
week.
idea. Yeah.
And as a thank you, I'll send you a cutting of that
Oh,
beautiful
great. Can't
variegated
wait. Yeah.
plant. Well,
Sounds
it's
good.
been really, really nice to speak with you, Stephen.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I hope the business goes well, and yeah, hopefully we'll meet up soon. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me on.
This podcast has been sponsored by Newbury Farm Plants in Silsoe, Central Bedfordshire. Newbury Farm Plants for all your garden plants from bedding to trees and exotics. Newbury Farm Plants in Silsoe, Central Bedfordshire.